Have you ever stopped to think about why a piece of bone, a torn garment, or even a drop of blood can be considered sacred? For many people this seems like an exaggeration or even superstition. But the truth is that behind this practice lies one of the most beautiful mysteries of the Catholic faith, the communion of saints. Since the first centuries of Christianity, the Church has preserved and honored relics with deep respect. And no, this is not idolatry. In this video you will understand what relics are, why the Church venerates them, and how they continue to be instruments of faith, healing, and conversion to this day. Whether you are Catholic or simply curious about the traditions of the Church, this video was made for you. Go ahead and leave your like now. This helps us bring this content to more people. And comment below. Have you ever seen a relic up close? What was that experience like? A relic is anything physically connected to a saint or to Jesus Christ. The word comes from the Latin reliquiae, which means remains or what is left, but in the case of faith, they are precious remains. The Church classifies relics into 3 degrees. First-degree relics are parts of the saint's body, such as bone fragments, hair, or blood. Second-degree relics are objects used by the saint during their life, a garment, a rosary, an instrument of martyrdom. And third-degree relics are objects that directly touched a first- or second-degree relic. But pay attention, the Church does not worship relics. That would be idolatry, and it is totally condemned. Relics are venerated, that is, treated with honor and reverence, because they are visible signs of an invisible reality, holiness. Just as we keep photos of those we love, or the last gift from someone dear, the Church keeps what bears witness to the presence of God in the lives of the saints. The veneration of relics is not a medieval invention. It has deep roots in the Bible and in the practice of the Church since the first Christians. In the Old Testament, in the 2nd book of Kings, we read that a dead man came back to life by touching the bones of the prophet Elisha. This shows that God can act even through the mortal remains of a righteous person. In the New Testament, in the Acts of the Apostles, we see that handkerchiefs and aprons that touched St. Paul's body healed the sick and cast out evil spirits. Church tradition reinforces this. In the first centuries, Christians celebrated Mass over the tombs of martyrs. Later, it became mandatory that every altar have a relic as a way of uniting the sacrifice of Christ with the witness of the saints. Therefore, when the Church venerates relics, it is continuing an apostolic practice. It is a concrete way of remembering that God's grace works through matter, just like in the Eucharist, in the water of baptism, in the oil of chrism. If this part surprised you, share it with someone who always thought relics were superstition. It might be the key to changing that view. The question is legitimate. If God is spirit, why venerate something material like a piece of bone or an object used by a saint? The answer lies in the very way God reveals himself. He uses the visible to lead us to the invisible. When the Church venerates relics, it is not attached to an object, but to the spiritual presence it represents. The body of a saint was a temple of the Holy Spirit. Their life was a concrete reflection of God's love. To honor their remains is to recognize this dignity. In addition, relics touch our faith in a tangible way. They are like bridges between heaven and earth. They remind us that holiness is real, palpable, and accessible. They are not magic. They are sacramentals, signs that prepare us to receive God's grace. And it is essential to understand, to venerate is not to worship. Worship is given only to God. Veneration is a just tribute to those who served him faithfully to the end. Throughout history, many relics have been associated with extraordinary miracles, and these signs did not stop in the Middle Ages. They continue to happen to this day. One of the best-known examples is the incorrupt heart of Saint Padre Pio. Decades after his death, his heart was found without signs of decomposition. This impresses not only the faithful, but also scientists. Another case is that of Saint John Vianney. His tongue has been preserved intact, as a sign of the zeal with which he preached the gospel. Incorrupt bodies, physical healings, and sudden conversions are just some of the manifestations linked to relics. But perhaps the greatest miracle is another, the impact these signs have on people's faith. Many people return to church, go to confession after years, or begin to seek a life of prayer after having contact with a relic. These testimonies show that relics are not museum objects. They are living instruments of God's action in the world. Today, relics continue to be a living part of the Catholic experience. They are not locked in safes or forgotten in display cases. Many are on pilgrimage around the world, visiting churches, hospitals, and even prisons. In several parishes, it is possible to find small reliquaries displayed for veneration. In Rome, there are true treasures of faith, such as fragments of the true cross of Christ and objects connected to the apostles. Many faithful are deeply moved when they see up close what connects the present to the sacred. But the Church also warns, it is necessary to avoid all kinds of superstition. Relics are not amulets. They do not replace prayer or the sacraments. They are signs that help us remember that heaven begins here, and that the saints walk with us. Venerating a relic is like holding the hand of a friend who has already reached holiness and is cheering for us from heaven. The Church does not keep relics out of attachment to the past. It venerates them because it recognizes in them the concrete presence of God's grace in the lives of the saints. Each relic tells a story of faith, of sacrifice, of radical love for Christ. They are signs that point to heaven and remind us that we too are called to holiness. To venerate a relic is to venerate Christ himself who acted in that life. It is not superstition, it is living memory, it is embodied faith. And perhaps the greatest invitation a relic makes to us is this: to follow the same path of the saint to whom it belonged. If this video helped you better understand this custom of our faith, comment below. Have you ever seen a relic up close? Which one impacted you the most? And of course, like and subscribe to the channel to continue receiving content that deepens faith with clarity, beauty, and truth. Do you want to understand the prophecies shaping the future of the world? In the ebook Catholic Prophecies, The Future of the World Revealed, you'll uncover powerful messages from the Bible, saints, and Marian apparitions. Most importantly, you'll see how they connect to the times we are living in. Don't be left in the dark. Get your copy now. The link is in the description and pinned comment.